my God, I love that song so much. How are you guys? Just give it a few minutes. Hi, Paige. Thank you for asking that question. And because you asked it, I'm actually going to answer it in this call so people know the types of questions that they can ask. That was a really good one. Hey, Renee. Um, and then just don't forget, tomorrow is the Ask Me Anything session. And you truly can ask me anything. Not that my life is that super exciting. But what it usually starts to lead into is I can actually do coaching with you. So that is typically what I'm going after, is to really kind of be able to dig in a little deeper, get what kind of thoughts you guys are needing to process, needing to be more aware of, better understanding how those thoughts are getting you your current results, and then we can work on some new results as well. So I just want to clarify that a little bit. You can ask me anything, but typically those kind of calls lead into coaching sessions, which is awesome. So we're just going to give it a couple, not even a couple, just a minute here. Let everybody get on. Hi, Libby. Hi, Kathy. It's so good to see you guys here. Hi, Cassie. Look how cute this shirt is, you guys. Not that I'm trying to plug my other business or anything, but this is the first time I've worn this shirt. It is a button-down shirt. I'm a sucker for anything that's V-neck, and then I love stripes. So this is like a knit cuff that, of course, has black and white stripes on it, and then the rest of it is like a rayon, kind of a gutsier rayon. So I am absolutely in love with this shirt. Kind of fun to wear for a session like this, a live session. All right, so there might be people on here that I haven't met yet. So let me just introduce myself. My name is Tracy Plushcourt. I am a former advertising executive turned life coach. Seems reasonable, right? I am absolutely in love with the business that I have created for myself. I absolutely love helping women understand how self-coaching can change their lives, how self-coaching, learning how to self-coach effectively, can get you any results that you want from your life, period. So that's really what I'm committed to. And I rebranded as of the beginning of the year to better encompass what I have set out to do. So I truly want to educate people. And again, I want to educate them on how to self-coach so that you don't always have to look outside of you to get answers, that you can learn how to kind of look from within to figure out your own answers. And learning how to self-coach supports that. So hence the name Self-Made You, right? You go to school to get an education, and that's what I have set out to do, is to teach women how to self-coach so that they can create any result for themselves. I personally specialize in a few challenges: how to stop over drinking, how to stop overeating, and then how to create purpose-driven businesses, how to become an entrepreneur, how to become successful at and scaling a purpose-driven business. So most of the women that I work with become coaches in some capacity. I'll tell you what, I don't know if I have helped any two women create the same business. I'm pretty sure I haven't. So if it's a topic that can be coached on, I think it's fair game to create a business around it. I just say the whole purpose-driven part of it is you got to have a passion. You got to want to impact other people's lives. You got to have a bigger reason than just income generating. Of course, we want to make money. We want to make lots of money so that we can go on and help more people. But there's got to be a connection to it. The why has to be really strong. And so I teach women how to do that. So this is a crash course in how to go from hopeless to happy fast. And that is a name that I decided on because that's exactly what I've done. I learned how to incorporate fasting into my protocol and learned the science behind fasting and how to choose food for fuel. And then the 1, 2, 3 punch was how to incorporate self coaching so that I can create this sustainable lifestyle, this very healthy, at my natural weight lifestyle. So, this crash course is kind of giving you the 10,000-foot view of the Stop Overeating program that I run very consistently and that I've had quite a few women go through and have had some really great results. You guys are going to get to hear from some of those women in the next few days. I'm super excited to introduce you to them because they are just, 1 or 2 steps ahead of you. So I think you'll find that to be really interesting. If you have any questions, don't be afraid to put them here in the chat. I promise I'll be better at reading the chat and answering those questions before we get off the call today. I want you to take a second when we're done with this call. I want you to take a second and look back at the questions from yesterday because I did spend some time going a little bit deeper in answering some of those for you. And I think sometimes having it in writing can just really kind of allow you to process it better. So that's one thing I wanted to point out to you. Something else that I wanted to just mention is I get a lot of Facebook Messenger questions as well. And if you have a question that is a little bit more personal of nature and you don't feel as comfortable sharing it in this community, that's totally fine. This question wasn't really anything that, was of private nature, and I thought everybody might be kind of interested in this. And so somebody had asked me about what are the over-the-counter supplements that I take, or specifically, she asked about the over-the-counter supplements that might support weight loss. And I'm not a nutritionist. I'm obviously not a doctor. So I don't want to give that kind of advice, like what's actually going to enhance weight loss. To be very honest, I don't know if there's supplements out there that are really formulated with that intention. But I will tell you what I take, and I feel like I am really living kind of my optimal life right now. And I've come to this conclusion. This is part of my protocol based on trial and error, to be quite honest. And I go in every 6 months for labs. I have a thyroid that runs on the slow side of things, so I do get my TSC levels checked every 6 months, which is kind of nice because then I can get all my labs checked and I can just make sure that everything is in line. I pretty much can tell. I know how I'm feeling. I know if I start to feel tired that maybe something's off. But these are the over-the-counter supplements that I take every single day. And like I said, I've incorporated this into my protocol. So it's very routine. I don't have to think about this. I include magnesium oxide. There are a lot of different magnesiums on the market. The oxide, and then the one that starts with a G, and I apologize, I don't have it right in front of me. The one that starts with a G is a little bit more difficult to find. I know Valley Natural Foods here locally in Minnesota carries it. But magnesium is a supplement that will help your electrolytes stay balanced. It also helps with your sleep, and it also helps with regularity. So I include that. I also include iron. I tend to be a little low in my iron levels. I include fish oil, B12, and zinc, just because those are immune boosting supplements. L-lysine is one that a lot of you guys probably haven't heard of. And the reason why I incorporate L-lysine is because it's an amino acid that is proven to really help boost the immune system. And my mother-in-law who passed away from Alzheimer's a little over a year ago now, she was a dietitian in a hospital for 30 plus years. And one of the things that she told us is that they always included an L-lysine supplement on every tray. No matter where that tray, what room that tray was going into, they always included that because it was an immune boosting amino acid. And interestingly enough, my daughter has been going through a number of tests, and she had a really bad bout of mono 3 years ago. Her immune system is compromised, and we are trying to figure out what do we need to do to boost her immunity. She'll be going back to college here in about a month. And a functional medicine doctor that we've been talking to said, get her on L-lysine. And I'm like, isn't that interesting? Now, of course, I have it in the house. I take it every day. Do you think my kids do? No. She does now, though. So that's one that I include in my daily protocol. A probiotic, and then vitamin D. And if you guys get your labs done regularly, you likely are deficient in vitamin D. Most of us are. So my doctor says she thinks everybody should be on a vitamin D supplement. So I include it in my daily protocol. Let's see, there was actually one more question that I wanted to answer, or just wanted to, this morning, Bridget, I'm sure you don't mind if I ask or call you out on this. She was telling me that she likes the Torriani coffee flavorings, and she actually has a no sugar coffee flavoring. Like, I'm envisioning the pump kind, and she wanted to know if that's okay. It is okay. I mean, if it has no sugar, I'm all for it. We can get into what sugar alternatives can do to you. They're not horrible, but they can spike your insulin. It's just how sensitive are you to that sweetness. Some people will have an insulin spike with alternative sugars, even the natural ones like stevia. But she went on to say that she likes that in her coffee with milk. And actually, the sneaky little ingredient is the milk. Most milk has sugar in it. And so you guys need to be careful of that. Dairy products are okay to have in your protocol. Just be careful of that. I mean, just make sure that you're not using it in abundance. I personally use heavy whipping cream in my coffee. I drink a lot of coffee, and I have heavy whipping cream in my coffee every single morning, even on my fast days. There is no sugar in heavy whipping cream, and it's a great source of fat. So you feel very satiated. That's probably one of the little tricks to getting through my 40-hour fasts is I don't ever really feel hungry. I feel very satiated from having heavy whipping cream in my coffee. So there you go. There's a few more answers to questions. Yesterday, we talked a little bit about hormones, over hunger, over desire, and then some of the lies that we are told that we have come to subscribe to as a society. The biggest one is the calories in, calories out. Or another way to say it is eat less, move more, or reduce your portions and work out more. And that is a flawed theory. When people subscribe to that, I want to be really blunt and say that people are set up to fail when they subscribe to that. And it makes me really mad because it's misguided information. And when it comes from a professional, when it comes from somebody that you're paying your money to get help from, and that's the information that they're giving you, it's flawed information, and you are being set up to fail. Now, they might not be doing that intentionally. They might not know any better, but I'm on a mission to really bust that myth, because 99% of people who subscribe to a calories in, calories out weight loss program fail. They might lose weight temporarily, but they will gain it back, because that is due to your metabolism slowing down. That is the cycle that happens. You cannot work out enough to combat the slow rate of your metabolism. So with fasting, I don't want to get too ahead of myself and I don't want to go down a rabbit hole, but with fasting, I actually don't even recommend exercising. I'm not recommending exercise as a way to lose fat. I love exercising, but for totally different reasons. I love it as a way to clear my mind. I love it as a way to build muscle, to tone, to increase my strength. I like exercise as increasing my flexibility and agility. So I do it for other reasons. I don't do it for fat loss. I really want you guys to think about the last time you subscribed to a calories in, calories out diet. And remember, they're packaged in a lot of different ways. I want you to think about how you felt. Did you have less energy? And were you constantly hungry? The answer is probably yes. And that's driven by hormones. Your ghrelin, one of the 3 hormones that we talked about yesterday, was really high. And so you never, ever feel full when your ghrelin is high. And I think one of the other big myths that really makes me mad is that because people are set up to fail, they are under this impression when they do fail that they're the problem, that something is wrong with them. And that's just not true. They are not the people to blame. It's the person who prescribed that to them. It's the program that they signed up for. That's really who's to blame. And if you're somebody that had that experience and you gained weight, knowledge is power. And you are heightening your awareness in this program to learn and do something different. You've got a choice. And back to that ghrelin, there's several of you on here that have been in my program. And one of the things that I hear so often is, I can't believe that the longer I go in my fast, the less hungry I am. And that's actually the ghrelin level being lowered, because your body shifts. When you're in a fast, your body shifts its food. It shifts to the storage, the fat that is stored on your body. It shifts to that for energy versus using the energy that's readily available in your blood. Okay? So that is why you stop feeling hungry while you're fasting, is because your body is making that shift. And ultimately, that's what I want to have happen for you. When you hear that term fat adapted, that's it. It's training your body to tap into the fat stores for energy versus using the glycogen that's in your blood for energy. We need to make that shift. Most people are not fat adapted. They are getting their energy from what they've just recently eaten. And when you keep eating, when you just kind of graze all day long, your insulin is never low enough to switch and to tap into the fat stores for energy. Okay. So that's kind of a review of what we talked about yesterday. I just want to see, hi, Allison. Just want to see if there's any questions in here. Okay. So let's keep on going. I want to talk about today. So today we're going to talk about, we're on session 3. If you haven't gotten the workbook, make sure you get it. It is pinned to the top of the page. And the most important tool, in my opinion, that you can use for sustainable weight loss is the model. It is self-coaching. Self-coaching is kind of the combination of what I would call a thought download. It's really becoming aware of the thoughts and the feelings that you're having. It's then using this tool that I call the model and really understanding how you're thinking unintentionally, really pulling your thoughts from your subconscious and seeing how those are getting you your current results. And then doing an intentional model to support you in getting different results. If you recognize from your unintentional model that you don't like these results and you choose to intentionally get different results, then you would move on to an intentional model. And we will take a deep dive into that in a couple days. I'll actually teach you how to do a model. But self-coaching as a whole is the most important part of getting any result in your life. So because we're contexting this, we're talking about weight loss. It is the number one tool that you need to have in your arsenal to get the results that you want. So, one of the reasons why so many of us are overweight is because we overeat. We are overeating because we want to figure out how to cope with emotions. And that might be hard for you to hear. I think there was a point in time where that was really hard for me to hear. I did not want to believe that I was overeating to try to cope with certain emotions. I was like, I'm actually pretty happy. I don't think I'm trying to cope with anything. But the thing is even if I was eating because I was happy, the interesting thing is I was eating because I was happy. I was maybe trying to cope with being happy. Now, that really wasn't the truth for me, but I feel like that just illustrates how we eat in almost every situation. And that is so unnecessary. If we are eating to cope in any sort of context, you have to really look at your life. I think, I wrote down this morning, I heard, I was talking to a client this morning, and she was saying, I am so depressed. I feel so isolated with this COVID and, not being able to go to work and work from home. And she's like, I just find that I'm eating more. And she said, I'll get done with work, and the thing that gets me through my day is that glass of wine that's waiting for me. Now, if a glass of wine is what's getting you through your day, if a glass of wine is the way you're coping, the problem is not the glass of wine. The problem is the day, right? It's the thoughts that you're having. Your day is the circumstance, and the thought that you're having about your day is neutral. You're choosing, it's an unconscious thought, but nevertheless, you do have a choice. But the thought that you're having is actually driving that feeling of needing to cope, right? And then you show up, you act, you have a glass of wine at the end of the day. Now there's a problem. There's a million other ways you could think about that day, right? So choosing to think that you have to cope with a glass of wine is obviously not getting you a result that you like. So we got to kind of examine, we've got to process what's going on in your day that really needs to be fixed. Okay? Or it maybe has nothing to do, or some people are just saying, you know what? It's just life. This is life right now. The fact that I'm gaining weight, the fact that I have gained 10 pounds, you know what? It's just life. That is an excuse. And I really want to shine a light on every single excuse you've got right now. Because every one of those excuses is just a thought. And that kind of thinking is getting you guys results that are not serving you. So, as your coach, as the person who has got you, I am going to support you. I'm just telling you that Let's get rid of the excuses. Let's shine a light on the thinking that's going on and ask yourself, is that thinking really serving you? It's probably not. So the model is made up of 5 components. Like I said, we will take a deep dive into this in, I can't remember exactly what day. I want to say it's one of our last days because it's so incredibly powerful. I know that it's what I wanted to really leave you with. But if you're here tomorrow and you actually have a thought or a feeling or a result or an action that you want to work on, that you want to process, bring it. And you'll get to see this in action tomorrow. But for now, I want you to know that how to answer that first question, the most important tool for sustainable weight loss, it really is the model. That I would say that is the most important tool. It's heightening your awareness to your thinking. It's heightening your awareness to the way you're feeling, to the way you're showing up, and to the results that you're getting. It's a way of being really honest with yourself. Yeah, and I guess I'll just say one thing about the model. I will never forget the day that I was introduced to this. I was listening to a podcast that my master coach does, and she was talking about the model, and it was like all of a sudden everything just kind of aligned for me, and I'm like, oh my God, here I've been suffering with all of these feelings, thinking that they're coming from the outside world, that things are outside of my control or making me feel this way. I felt like such a victim. And when she put the architecture around it, and I realized that every one of those feelings that I was having was being created from a thought that was being generated in my brain, and that there was actually a choice, I'm like, oh boy. That was the day that I was like, it's time to roll up my sleeves and get to work. And since that moment, like my life has changed so dramatically. So I remember that day very vividly, and realizing that I can control my mind. I can feel better. I don't need to eat to feel better anymore. I need to think differently about my circumstances. So that's how you fill in number 1. Number 1. Now, the next question, the effective food protocol is made up of. Now, a food protocol, I would say, is the number 2 tool that I teach. And it too is a little bit more complex. So self-coaching has multiple parts to it. It has a thought download, it has an unintentional model, and it has an intentional model. A food protocol or a protocol can have all sorts of components to it. It could incorporate exercise. It could incorporate what you choose to eat. It could incorporate what you choose to not eat, or how long you're going to go in between eating. It could include supplements. It's your protocol. It's your process. It's your lifestyle. It's your routine that you are going to create for yourself. That is the key to creating a sustainable process of getting to and maintaining your natural weight. It's what sets this program apart from all other programs, because you're going to create the protocol. You are going to learn what it means to choose food for fuel. And you're going to try things out. You're going to create a list. And once you've got that list kind of locked and loaded, those are your go-to items. But choosing food for fuel means choosing food that makes you feel good physically, emotionally, and mentally. It also takes into account the periods of time that you go between eating. Now, when you are eating, there's a hard start and there's a hard finish. There is no grazing, right? Um, and then when you're fasting, you're fasting. You are not eating. We set the default to not doing something, which, guys, it's so much easier to not do something than to have to do something. When I have a lot on my to-do list, I wake up in the morning, I feel kind of overwhelmed. When I wake up in the morning, I realize I got nothing. I got nothing to do. Whew. It's like, bring it on. This is going to be a great day, right? It's so much easier to not do something than to have to do something. So fasting changes the default. Think about that. So that is the first within that effective food protocol. It's made up of choosing food for fuel. And the second one is learning how to fast. And I teach both of those things in great detail to my clients. It's really important that you fully understand what that means. Okay? Why do I believe so strongly in a food protocol? Well, a lot of reasons, but I will tell you, when you create a protocol for yourself, it gives you a lot of simplicity. It reduces any sort of decision fatigue. Think about when you have a lot of decisions to be made. Think about how that slows your progress and it actually increases your risk of making a bad decision. I kind of liken it to setting off on a vacation, like a road trip in a car. You get your whole family packed in and you have no plan. You're just going to wing it. Think about all of the bumps in the road, all the trials and errors, all the wrong ways that you're going to take you'll probably get to your final destination, but you sure as heck are not going to get to your final destination as quickly, as easily, as more effectively than if you would have had a plan. That's what a protocol does for you. It's a tried and true, refined plan that's created by you for you. I just give you the correct architecture for it. And when I say choosing food for fuel, I do highly recommend choosing food that limits, and I would even go so far to say eliminates, sugar and flour. And I have gotten a lot of questions in regards to alcohol. Can I incorporate alcohol? You can. Again, this all goes back to what is your goal? How fast do you want to lose the weight? How long do you want to keep the weight off? What kind of journey are you looking for? I hope that you guys are looking for sustainable weight loss results. Now, as far as the time that it takes you, that's totally up to you. But that would have a hand in being able to answer that question. You absolutely can still drink alcohol. Most alcohol has sugar in it, not all of it. A lot of alcohol has carbs in it, not all of it. So we can create a protocol for you that still incorporates alcohol. You just will have slower results. And if you're okay with that, then by all means, if you want to enjoy life with alcohol, I say go for it. I think that is all of the points that I wanted to make. I had somebody else ask me, how do you keep from overeating? So when I am eating, I will tell you one of the biggest reasons or one of the biggest ways that I keep from overeating is I've landed on an alternative day fasting program. When I was doing one meal a day, I recognized that I would overeat. When I would eat that one meal, I'm a master negotiator, especially when I'm negotiating with myself. So I would negotiate what 1 hour actually looked like. 1 hour turned into like 4 hours of eating. So that one meal a day really spanned, and I would technically overeat. And so I recognized that that was not a great option for me. So I ended up shifting into alternative day fasting. So one day I eat, one day I fast. One day I eat, one day I fast. It's so much easier. There's no room for negotiation with that. So that's why I do that. So that's the first way I don't overeat. The second way is when I am eating, and I thought, how fascinating. My husband walked in here 5 minutes before this started, and he is so sweet because he's working from home now. We have we're members, I guess is what you call it, of HelloFresh, and it's just a food preparation kind of subscription, I guess. And so they have an app, you can go in, you can pick the meals, how many meals, which meals, and they ship all of the ingredients along with this beautiful picture and the step-by-step directions on how to make it to your door on a weekly basis. So we have figured out that we probably eat as a family like 2 times during the week. And so my husband actually likes to cook, but he has found that HelloFresh has helped him just kind of learn more techniques, and it has challenged him to use different ingredients that he doesn't have to go find. So it keeps us out of the grocery store. Everything comes to us. It's super simple. We put in there that we like more of the low carb type meal options. And then he likes to cook. I don't. I'm happy to do the dishes. I'm happy to do the cleanup. I do not really love to cook. So it works out perfect. So that's the second way I don't overeat, is because it's done for me. I don't even have to have, there are very little choices involved. So he even plates it for me. So you guys are going to totally go, oh my God, you're a total princess. But I just have to show you this. So right before this started, he came in here and he even garnished it with lemon. But that is one of this week's meals. And it's like a Parmesan crusted chicken with asparagus, and there's couscous. I probably won't eat a lot of the couscous because it is pretty high in carbs. I'll have a few bites because I do love it. And when I have those kind of carbs, I just make sure that I also have a healthy amount of protein, because that does a good job of balancing it out. I am fat adapted, so my insulin doesn't spike and stay high for a long time. I would not have eaten couscous in my first 6 weeks. I was so low in my carbs in my protocol. And we can talk more about that. But that's another way that I don't overeat. If you noticed, it was on a small plate. I don't use big plates. I would say another way that I don't overeat is I drink a ton of water. I'm constantly filling this bottle up. And even if I feel like I've had enough, if I start to get if I start to recognize urges, I throw back the water. It's a really good trick. Because if you start really guzzling water, you do not feel like snacking. And it's enough of a buffer, it's enough of a placeholder that you can allow that urge to kind of move through. And the urge is just an emotion. So you can let that kind of move through you, and it will dissipate within 5 to 10 minutes. And I know that to be true. So that's another trick that I use. Lastly, I'll journal. I'll ask myself, what does that urge that I'm feeling, that emotion, what does it feel like? And I'll just write about it. So full of tips for you. That is a lot of what my Stop Overeating program encompasses, is a lot of that kind of stuff. It's a lot of hand-holding, deep dives into these topics. So tomorrow is there's no lesson. I did put just a place to take notes, and I promise you, even if you're somebody that's not being coached, or if you have no questions, still show up. Because if somebody else is getting coached, I promise you will find that to be so valuable. I show up to my master coaches calls, even if I don't have a topic that I want to be coached on, and I listen to them all. And I often walk away going, oh yeah, I had that question too. Or maybe I didn't want to ask it. Maybe I had it and I was just too scared to ask it. It's really a great way to get those kind of questions answered. So that is it. Feel free to post any questions that you have in the chat, in the Facebook group. Invite your friends. They can catch up quickly. Amy Jones just joined us today. She was able to catch right up. So it's not impossible. I will be running this course again here in about 8 weeks or so. So people can join at that time too. But if they really want to get going and learning how to create a protocol, incorporate self-coaching, have them jump in. So that's it for today. I will see you guys tomorrow, 1 o'clock Central Standard Time, back in here in the Student Union. Thank you so much for joining. You don't have any homework today. And I'm just looking at my notes. One more lie. It just occurred to me today. One more lie that society has tried to educate us on. Think about the food pyramid. I'm like, man, that's like the biggest lie out there. When you think about the food pyramid, think about the biggest portion, the bottom of the food pyramid. What was it? It was carbs. It was bread and flour. Obviously, that's not true. I think we can all agree now that we know that bread and flour is not supposed to be the foundation of our nutrition, right? And then what was the smallest part of the tippy top of that food pyramid? Was fat. Nope. Literally, that thing should be flipped over. Fat really should be the foundation, as long as you're eating the right kind of fat, because fat fuels our brain. Fat fuels our joints. So sorry, that's completely out of context, but I just looked down at my notes. I'm like, oh my God, I got to say this. So anyways, thank you for being here, you guys. I will see you tomorrow.